Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. We do have a dev diary update on AI 2.0. I'll be honest, I wish this update had something more in it. Because if you want the too long, didn't want to bother the entire video version of this, is there are two things you can take away from this. Kabam's working on it. It's gonna be sometime 2026, hopefully. If you want to kind of jump in a bit deeper, they do share a bit of details that we already kind of knew, and they also kind of explain what they have been working on. So, if you're in here for the long haul, and you do find my voice weirdly soothing, and you're one of the 7 people in the world who find Eastern European accent appealing, let's get into this. So, one of the most frequently asked questions was about the AI. So, a recap on our current AI. Our current AI knows what buttons it can press, the distance between the two champions, what animation state each of the champions are in. Our current AI does not have any memory of what happened earlier in the fight or even in the previous frame, have any ability to plan for the future, have any idea what buffs, debuffs, masteries, nodes, etc. even are, let alone which are active. But the thing that they do not conveniently tell us here is that each AI champion profile can be programmed differently. So there are absolutely champions that will randomly spam heavy attack, not by accident, because Kabam have set them that way, as well as the fact that Kabam does have control of recovery rates. How long the AI is effectively unable to do anything after we get hit, and how quickly they are able to, I don't know, parry our heavy attacks after we try to punish their special attacks. And that is something that Kabam could have fixed without all of this. They just had to change recovery times. It was quite simple as that. Because, you know, they used to be different than they are now. They changed somehow. Somebody magically changed them. But Kabam has not done anything to address those issues. But okay, let's just jump in it and here enter the rest of it as in a good faith argument. So, our current AI is frame perfect button masher. There's no real intelligence behind it, and why it chooses to do something, it's used weighted random rolls to mash. And this is again a very key aspect, weighted random rolls. Because Kabam does in fact weigh how likely is each action to take place, such as activating a special attack or throwing a heavy attack, as in, for instance, when you're blocking, how likely opponent is to throw a heavy attack versus throw mediums and lights in your block. Kabam could weigh that a bit more towards the heavy. Or, you know, Kabam could weigh these actions a bit more likely to throw a special attack if, you know, you are within the distance or something like that. But nowhere in here, or anywhere for that matter, I have heard a reasonable explanation of why Kabam has not adjusted those weights on these actions. To mash buttons, it finds valid input and has no ability to learn. That's fine. This also means that most behaviors some experience are in emergent property of its many weighted die rolls. Again, weighted, but they are the ones who choose how likely specific things are. Rather than something that was intentionally designed. Again, with how much weighted these actions are. For instance, if Kabam couldn't do that and had, you know, those nodes that make opponent more likely to throw special one wouldn't exist. So all of that, many of the things with AI, Kabam could have resolved already. And that's why it's kind of hard to, you know. If you want more robust breakdown, please check out previous AI dev diary. Covered that a while ago. So AI 2.0 progress. For better or worse, the current AI is in the game. And summoners have lots of expectations around how it does and should behave. For AI 2.0, our goal is to get as close to the current AI experience as possible initially, but built on a better, more interactive infrastructure. We know it won't be exactly the same, but our goal is to get as close as possible to make things better where it is different, and most importantly, to have laid solid foundations for future improvements. So, perception system. Our first step was create a robust perception system that would allow us to analyze what actions the current AI could have been taken on any given frame, which action it did take, and integrate that into our fight's replay system. This allowed us to better quantify the current AI's emergent behavior trends in data. Below is an example of data that they collected. There you go. And memory system. From the groundwork of the perception system, we were able to build out a working memory AI 2.0. Can now remember what happened earlier in the fight and use that to influence its decision making. As a quick clarification, this does not mean that the AI will be able to learn. We haven't and can't build Skynet, but if we ask it when it lost through a heavy attack, it will now know the answer. We won't be using system to reproduce our current behaviors, but it is critical for future fixes. AI logic blocks. We have also created the ability to codify more complex behaviors, not just specific animations, parrying, intercepting, so that can modify these individually in the future without all the scary knock-ons. Our starting point for the blocks will usually be reconstruct the existing emergent behaviors, but further changes will be much more predictable. Proof of concept, a high dexterity bot. And this is kind of scary. So Kabam made an AI that basically dexes perfectly and then smacks you in the face with a light intent. And that's a nasty idea. As an example of the kind of work we're doing right now and why it doesn't lend itself well to playable demons, here's a terrifying example. This is what AI looks like if we program it to try and avoid as many of your attacks as it can with dexterity. This is not something we ever intend to include in the game-wide AI, but it's perhaps unintuitively the kind of thing that we have to build if we then want to prevent it. So basically, they need to make all of these type of things so they can code them not to do it. Because again, in theory, if AI is frame perfect as it should be, because it's AI, not human, it could do that all the time, unless Kabam forbids it to do it. Using another previous example, we can't tell the AI to light intercept the attacker less, unless it knows what that means. So we have to teach it to light intercept as perfectly as possible, codify that behavior in logic books, and then tell them it to do that specific thing less or never. We can't teach it halfway, or we'll be able to prevent it halfway. This work is absolutely critical for the kinds of changes both we and you want next, but it means that much of our current work is building things we intend to block out rather than actively use. What's next? Know that current AI is frustrating. We feel it as hard as you do. No, you don't. Like, you just don't. We have been devoting resources to these updates for a very long time. The good news is that we are rapidly approaching broader internal playtesting of AI 2.0, meaning that we feel we're close to the point where that broader feedback will actually be helpful. We're a little uncertain on this stage how much iteration beyond that it's going to take to hit the feels right bar, so we can't comfortably share a release timeline beyond sometime 2026. That is kind of the takeaway. Kabam intends for AI 2.0 to be active in 2026. This juncture, but things are coming along, and that remains high priority for the team as a whole. However, for visibility, our intention is that once we feel it's in a good enough state, we'll be rolling it out for summoners to try in a piece of bespoke content, e.g. side quest, similar to how we initially tested things like strikers and the root mechanic. We intend to build that content carefully to show off high impact AI behaviors and to let you see the new system in close proximity to the old. As we have said before, we don't plan to just throw the switch game-wide without gathering as much broad feedback as we can. Maybe we can get there, and the consensus is to turn it on everywhere as soon as possible, which would be a great problem to have. But this isn't something we intend to rush, because it's something we intend to get right. We look forward to sharing more details of this as all they become available. And that's the thing, like, one thing, obviously I haven't played AI 2.0, and therefore I can't critique it. Obviously, what we can, however, go off is our expectation and Kabam's track record and their quality control in the past, which, leads me to believe that initially it's probably going to be an absolutely miserable and frustrating experience until Kabam eventually gets it right. That is what I expect to happen. all of these new AI testing maps coming in the game, and then everybody just raging because, you know, there's going to be bugs, there's going to be game crashes, there's going to be phones exploding, there's going to be people tossing their phones against the wall, and there's going to be AI not throwing a special attack for, 37 years and doing, 18 perfect light intercepts in a row on a node that forces you to intercept the opponent instead. We all know that's going to happen. I think, realistically, we expect that to happen with Kabam because, unfortunately, that is the bar that they themselves have set over the years. I wish I'm wrong. Obviously, a smooth transition would be perfect. But even despite that, I'm still eagerly awaiting AI 2.0 because something has to be done. And my frustration with Kabam in the current situation is something that I might have alluded in the initial parts of the video, where I discussed the weighted actions and recovery times and stuff like that. Because that is half of the problem right now. It's not necessarily that AI doesn't throw a special attack for a long time. That is a problem. Yes, that does need to be addressed, absolutely. What also is a problem, what also absolutely needs to be addressed, is the fact that, for instance, Omega Red is unusable against any champion with a single hit heavy attack because Kabam increased the recovery speed of AI to a point where you cannot safely, for instance, bait a heavy attack and punish it with that. Because AI recovers too fast and you eat a special attack in the face. That is the type of problem that Kabam could have already fixed, and it would have went a long way into increasing kind of like the in-fight level of satisfaction or feeling of fairness, or, decrease the frustration with the fight mechanics themselves. So stuff like recovery speed, stuff like these weighted actions that Kabam does have control over, but they do not adjust that in order to help the players or in order to mitigate the impact of the current AI. Because it almost kind of feels like, Kabam themselves have set themselves to the idea of current AI sucks, everybody hates it, let's leave it the way it is and just work on this new stuff. At no point during the history of ever they couldn't have just adjusted the current AI to be more tolerable. But as a continuation of that point, and makes it me, well, waiting for the new AI even more, because I hope it's better. I hope the user experience is smoother, and I think so do all of you. So I would be more than interested seeing your thoughts on the matter, and maybe then we can create another discussion video on this. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have